Hello, everyone. If you're joining us, my name is Sarah Swank. I'm the marketing manager here at Global Gifts, and I'm going to be joined by Alissa Head here, who's our executive director, in just a minute, and she's going to be talking with us about her learning trip that she took to Kenya, Eldoret, Kenya, I believe at the beginning of March 2020 last year, or maybe not March, the beginning of 2020 before COVID hit. So just waiting for Lisa to hop on here and then we'll get started. And if you've got any questions as we're going through, feel free to drop those in the comments and we can try and talk about those as well. Let's see, I think here's Elise coming on right now. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me all right?
Yes. I'll turn you up a little bit.
Okay. Awesome. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I'm excited to hear about your learning trip. So I mentioned before, just before you hopped on, that we were going to be talking about your trip to Kenya and about Creation Hive. Before we hop into that, so we did just do our fundraiser last month for Creation Hive. So, and I think we had a good turnout. So I wanted to see if you wanted to kind of lead with that and then tell us about your trip and why you were there in the first place.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think, first of all, I just want to thank all of our customers at all of our 4 store locations for donating so much for Creation Hive in July. We were able to raise, with your help, over $2,000, which is going towards a new paper press, which is really important for them. They make their own paper with recycled paper, banana fiber, and papyrus. And the paper press really expedites that process. It presses out all the water and makes it dry faster so that they can make products out of it faster. So that was a really good thing that they're going to be able to get. And I think it really highlights the importance of fundraising for capacity building and helping them continue to improve their systems. And they're also going to work on getting some new glazes for their clay bead jewelry. So that's exciting.
Cool. So we might have some new products and new things coming in store here soon.
Yeah, I'm really hoping we'll have some new jewelry in spring.
Oh, awesome. That's exciting. So yeah, tell us a little bit about why you went to Kenya and kind of what that is, what your trip was about.
Sure. So I started with Global Gifts in 2014, and Global Gifts offers a learning tour to employees who have been with the company for 3 to 4 years or more. And when I became executive director in 2018, I was up next. It was my turn, and as executive director, both the board and myself, we felt it was important for me to travel to Kenya to reaffirm our relationship with Creation Hive. And also I learned a lot about the importance of direct relationships with fair trade, and I just learned a lot about fair trade in general.
So you got to go, and you were in Eldoret, Kenya, and you were visiting Creation Hive specifically. Was that?
Yes, I was. They hosted me there, and I spent several days with the Creation Hive artisans, learning about what they were making. They would make food for us. We would eat lunch together, and we worked on some new product ideas and new product designs. So it was really exciting.
Oh, yeah, that sounds awesome. So. You mentioned that we have kind of a wholesale line with them. Can you talk a little bit about like our wholesale relationship that Global Gifts has with Creation Hive, and I guess maybe even further back our how long we've had a relationship with Creation Hive, because we've been partners for quite a while.
Sorry, I think I'm having some internet problems. So Global Gifts, we are primarily a fair trade retailer, but our direct relationship with Creation Hive allows us to import their products and then sell them to other fair trade retailers in North America. So it's a different relationship. The Fair Trade Federation is kind of a network of fair trade, for-profit and nonprofit businesses who work with different artisan groups in different countries, and they import the products and then sell them to other Fair Trade Federation retailers. So the Creation Hive direct relationship is one of our only direct relationships. We're working on another one right now, but I don't think we're ready to talk about that yet. So it gives us, not only is it great to bring Creation Hive products to market in North America, but it also helps Global Gifts be a more well-rounded fair trade organization so that we can really understand the benefits and the challenges of running a fair trade business.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. So can you talk a little bit maybe about the process of kind of developing that wholesale line and how we get from an idea to kind of the item that we end up with in our stores?
Sure. Well, I would say that most of the products with Creation Hive come from the minds of Creation Hive artisans. So they have several different workshops. They've got the sew shop, which is where they make fabric products. They have the bead shop where they make jewelry and other beaded items. They have the paper making workshop. And recently they started a new recycled glass working workshop where they're making glasses like our Love Fair Trade glasses that we got for our event in February. And they're also making things like lamps and chandeliers and planters out of them. So it's all recycled wine bottles. And so it's really cool what they're making with that. And that's a new one. And then they also have a brand new one, which is the crochet and knitting workshop, where they make some accessories for us. And they've also started a new line of toys, which are really cute. And we're going to be bringing those on this fall. And here's a picture of one of the giraffes.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, they're just crochet animals. Yeah, stuffed animals, but they're really cute.
Oh, I love those. Yeah, I think I'd seen some of their pictures with their little Katenge shirts.
Yeah, they're super cute.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit, I think, in our previous conversation about some of the knitting items, and I think that was a really big collection that we brought on this past winter with all of our knit hats and woolens. So something I think you mentioned was kind of the sustainability of wool and how that sustainability fits into what they're the materials that the Creation Hive artisans use.
Yeah.
Can you talk about wool and maybe some of the other products that they use, how that kind of ties together?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a big knitter and fan of wool. And right before I went to Kenya, we had just lost one of our woolen accessory vendors. So I pitched the idea of how would they feel about making wool accessories? Is that even a thing? Can you do that? And they actually, so first of all, they all learned to knit in school there. So they all already knew how to knit. They have merino wool that is grown in Kenya, and it's processed at Ken Knit, which is right there in Eldoret, so they could source it locally. And then when I was there, I had purchased some wool and I had made a very simple rib knit hat. And I kind of showed it to them as an example, and they were kind of like, oh, we can do so much better than that. And they really did. Like, they came back, first of all, they dyed all the yarn themselves, and then they came back with several different designs, pattern designs. And they not only did the hats, they came up with these scarves. And I love working with wool. Wool is such a sustainable material, a sustainable fiber. It's renewable, it's biodegradable. It's a great product for fair trade because of its environmental sustainability. So I love that we're working in wool. And this year they've come up with some 2-color designs. And you asked a little bit about the process of design. So typically what they'll do is they'll come up with designs and then they'll send them to me on WhatsApp. We actually have a group chat. It's not just me. It's other Global Gift employees and the Creation Hive employees and artisans. And so we look at them, and then we kind of look at them as a group, and we think, yeah, we can sell that. And sometimes they'll give us different samples, like they're coming up with arm warmers this year too. So some of them samples were long, some of them were short, and we all decided that we felt like the short ones would do better here. So we're getting some short 2-color hats and arm warmers this year. Like I said, the designs are really theirs. We just kind of look at them with an eye to what we think will sell well in our market.
Right. I love that. So it's kind of a team process, but it's cool to see that it kind of starts with the artisans and that they've already learned how to do all of these things. So then it's kind of just matching what sells well in our stores and what our customers are needing over here.
Yeah.
And are there any other products? So you mentioned the sustainability of wool, but I guess they do have the glass beads too, the recycled glass
Yeah,
items.
yeah. So they do the glasses, the glassware, which we're trying to come up with designs that we think would sell well in our stores. The Love Fair Trade glasses are really popular. I should have brought one in here, but we're trying to come up with some ideas that would have, because they can do etching on them. So come up with some designs that we think would do well in our stores. Glass is very heavy to ship, so we're trying to refine that a little more before we ship any from Kenya to, we ship them into our wholesale warehouse in Columbus, Ohio. So there's that. They're really lucky in Eldoret because not only do they have kin knit there with the wool that's being processed right there, but they also have Ribotex, which is a textile mill. And so the kikoi fabric, so this is a kikoi fabric, which people have probably seen our headbands and scrunchies. It's woven and made there in Eldoret, Kenya, from cotton. And then this is some of the kitenge, which is also made there in Eldoret, Kenya at Ribotex. So they're very lucky to be able to source these things locally to them. It makes it much more affordable. And of course, we love that we're supporting the Kenyan economy using these products. But yeah, another product that we're getting this fall is when I was in Kenya, I picked up this backpack, which I'm in love with, and it's this patchwork kitenge. And I was like, could you make something like this? And they were like, of course we can make something like that. So we've got some of these coming in this fall. So I'm really excited about that too.
Oh, those are awesome. And Betsy said, can hardly wait to see those toys.
Yay!
Yeah, us too.
Hi, Betsy.
Super, super. Yeah, and so you had mentioned that they were having they're working on trying to get the sourcing for the glazes. Yeah. Can you talk about the challenges?
A little bit. It's just that yeah. So the clay that they use for their beads is actually dug there in Kenya. So they dig the clay for their beads themselves, but the glazes come. They don't have any way to source it locally, so they come from import them from South Africa, which makes them really expensive. So this fundraising that we did in July is going to help them get some glazes for hopefully some new jewelry designs for the spring. I did just talk to them about an idea of using locally grown plants and minerals for pigments. I don't know enough about ceramics. I think there's more than just pigments. I think there's the glaze and there's a chemical process there that I don't understand. But I mentioned, I know there are some artists who are doing that, and they were already thinking about that. They were like, yep, we're going to try to figure out how we can come up with some locally sourced pigments. So that's probably a few years down the road, but it's an exciting progression.
Yeah, I think they're just such a great example of that kind of pillar of sustainability that runs through it, and being able to source things locally, using these recycled materials, and yeah, trying to find all those natural things. And so that's awesome.
Yeah, and they're so innovative.
Yeah, so and last year, so you held up the Patchwork Backpack, and it reminded me of our big the quilt that they made for our Love Fair Trade fundraiser.
Yes,
so
yes, that was gorgeous.
I'm not sure, we can put a picture in the group or in the chat after this. I don't know if we've got that anywhere on the website, but that was a beautiful patchwork quilt that they'd done that kind of had similar styles of fabrics. I think they had a lot of the kitenge in there as well.
Yeah, it was patchwork kitenge, and they did have some designs on there, and it did and they donated that to us, and it did bring some much needed funds. And a very lucky donor got a wonderful patchwork quilt.
I bet they're enjoying that. Yeah, so I was wondering if we could talk maybe a bit about the Global Gifts relationship with Creation Hive and how that fits into the bigger fair trade picture. I think we mentioned some kind of the goals of access to market and what that means.
Yeah, so basically that is what we provide, is access to market in North America that they wouldn't normally have access to. I think that sometimes there are some challenges. So we're not the only market. Let me put it that way. We do import their products into North America. We make them available to other fair trade retailers, but also we have our 4 stores, which is a great marketplace to sell them and to also test them out and see how they do and see if there needs to be any design, adjusting.
Right.
But they also do have their own gift shop in Eldoret, and they also sell to other businesses in Kenya, which is great because it's good that they have their local market. Sometimes I think it's a bit of a challenge. What sells well there doesn't necessarily sell as well here. So we have to have that communication going back and forth to make sure we're getting a product that can do well for us in North America.
Right. And I think the example you gave was like the colors that red and green is a combination that does really well there, but here in the States, that's usually more of a Christmas color. So during the holidays, that can be a good one, but that's not one that customers buy so much.
Yeah,
like
it can kind of
summertime.
limit it other times of the year.
Yeah. Do you have any other takeaways from the learning experience or your time there that you want to share with us?
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway was that artisans need agency. So where you'll find a lot of fair trade artisan groups, they can be places where people are experiencing extreme poverty. And there's a reason for that. It's because they were European colonies for centuries. So I think that it's really important that artisans have agency and that they have business decision-making power, because without that, I think there's a risk of falling into that old power dynamic, which can be oppressive, and that's something that we really don't want in fair trade. So that was my big takeaway, was that artisans need agency in wherever they're working, using their own designs, making their own business decisions. I think that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of feel like that's a conversation that's being had in the fair trade world more often now too, is fair trade not being a charity and saving artisans, but providing that access to market for them to use their own skills that they already have, or to develop, so that it's self-sustaining rather than relying kind of on our help. So I really love that, some of those examples of just how the artisans are coming up with their own ideas, and it's a back and forth between what works well for what they have and can do and what we need for our customers. So it's cool to see behind the scenes and kind of see how all that goes into a product being on our shelves, and all of the development and creation that takes place for it to get to that stage.
Yeah, and it's really exciting to see how, I mean, they're all really talented in the different workshops, and some artisans work in more than one workshop, but even the new artisans that come on, like, they receive training and learn, and then they get to grow their own capacity from within the organization. So that's really great.
Right. I'm looking in here in our chat, and I don't think we've got any questions yet from anyone. I think that was most of them that I had for you. Did you have anything else that you wanted to share, or things that have popped up since we've started talking?
No, I think that's it. I'm going to put on my hat from last year because I love this hat so much.
I have the same one. I think that was my favorite color of all of the
ones. Me too. It was supposed to be kind of a gold color, and then it turned into this beautiful buttery yellow, which both were great, but I love this buttery yellow so much.
I don't think we have those on the website, but for anyone watching, if you want to go check out the Creation Hive items, we do have them all. We have them in store and online at all of our stores. So you can go there and see all of the different Kitenge products we've got. We do have a lot of jewelry. We've even got some lunchbox sets that are made out of Kitenge. They're fabric lunchbox sets.
I love those.
So those are really perfect. They've got journals and notebooks. So there's some back to school supplies. Some really awesome things from Creation Hive in store right now and online. So you can check out some more from them. And I think I will also go back and try and look for some of our past social media posts. I think a couple months ago we had a lot of stories from Creation Hive artisans and photos that were shared with us that we posted to our Instagram stories. So if you want to kind of see some of the artisans who were making the products, our kids' backpacks, I know we've been promoting those lately, so there's probably pictures on the website, all of the animal little children's backpacks that are also adjustable for adults. So if you want to get one of those, Those are all Creation Hive too, and those are, I think, some of my favorite items right now. So all of those on the website.
I love that water buffalo backpack. That one's got my name on it.
Yeah, that's a perfect one. All right, Alissa, I think that's all the questions I have. So for anyone else who's watching, if you've got any other questions that come up after you watch this, just shoot us an email and we'd be happy to talk about kind of our relationship with Creation Hive. But hopefully this was a nice glimpse behind the scenes at kind of the learning trips and the relationships that we have with some of our artisan partners and all of the work that goes into kind of developing the products that we have in our stores.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yes. Thanks, Alissa.
Bye.
See you.